Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Daffodils is written by William Wordsworth, who is the famous writer of nature. He's famous for writing poems about nature. So this is one of his poems about the daffodils, in which he saw the group of daffodils and appreciated the beauty of it and turned it into a poem for us to read. Let's have a warm-up activity here. First, look at the title of the poem and predict what the poem is about. Yes, the poem is about daffodils. इसको हम उर्दू में आबी नरगिस के फूल कहते हैं. ये दो कलर के होते हैं, येलो एंड वाइट. Have you ever seen daffodils? How they look like? Let's start reading from first stanza here. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. In this stanza here, the consisting of 6 lines here, you can see this is called the stanza. The line is separate. This is one line here, and the stanza, you can see we have 4 stanzas here with 6 lines in each stanza. I wandered lonely as a cloud. In this stanza, poet says that he was wandered walking. Wandered means walking lonely as a cloud. अब यहाँ पर इसने simile की example दी. He has given the example of simile, the figurative language in which we compare both different things together due to their similarity. थोड़ी सी similarity को हम इसमें 2 objects की compare करते हैं. जैसे कि पोइट ने खुद को कंपेयर किया है क्लाउड के साथ, और हमेशा हम जब सिमिली का यूज करते हैं तो एज या लाइक का यूज करते हैं. जैसे एज लाइट एज फेदर, एज ब्रीव एज लाइन, ब्यूटीफुल लाइक अ रोज. तो ये क्या है? सिमिली की एग्जांपल है, फिगरेटिव लैंग्वेज है जो आपकी राइटिंग्स को, आपके नॉवेल्स को, आपके पोएम्स को अट्रैक्टिव और ब्यूटीफुल बनाती है. द फ्लोट्स ऑन हाई ओवर वेल्स एंड हिल्स. वेल्स वादियों और पहाड़ियों के ऊपर जैसे कि एक लोनली क्लाउड फिरता है, उसकी तरह पोइट कह रहा है कि मैं भी फिर रहा था. When all at once I saw a crowd, then he saw a crowd, a group of lots of daffodils, a host. It's like a bed of daffodils. So many daffodils were there, golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees. Lake के साथ और trees के नीचे, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Fluttering means moving lightly and dancing in the breeze. Breeze कहते हैं सुबह की ठंडी हवा को, the cold air of the morning. So he saw the group of daffodils, golden daffodils, which were fluttering, moving and dancing in the breeze. Fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Here the poet has given the example of personification. ये दूसरी आपकी फिगरेटिव लैंग्वेज है, फिगर ऑफ स्पीच है, जिसमें हम ह्यूमन कैरेक्टरिस्टिक देते हैं ऑब्जेक्ट्स को, नॉन लिविंग थिंग्स को. वी हैव डिस्कस दिस इन योर प्रीवियस लेसन 2, द यूज ऑफ पर्सोनिफिकेशन, इन विच वी गिव ह्यूमन कैरेक्टरिस्टिक टू ऑब्जेक्ट्स और नॉन लिविंग थिंग्स टू create interest in any writing. In real life, in reality, the flowers cannot dance, but here we can make them dance by the use of personification. The second stanza here continues as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, the stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their head in sprightly dance. Continues as the star. In this stanza, poet says that the daffodils were there like someone can see the star on the sky that's never going to end. And they would twinkle on the Milky Way. They were giving the white light, twinkling, shining and stretch, फैले हुए थे. Stretch, फैले हुए थे. Never ending line, जिसे कि कभी ख़त्म नहीं होंगे, इनकी कोई हद नहीं है ख़त्म होने की. Along the margin of bay, margin, the line of a bay, पानी की एक लाइन के साथ. पानी की लाइन क्या थी? झील थी एक. 10,000 एक ही नजर में उसने देखी. ग्लास एक ही नजर में, एट वन ग्लास. tossing their heads. Tossing their head means moving their heads up and down in sprightly dance. Sprightly means full of life and energy. Full of energy. They were dancing. The third stanza here. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what well the show to me had brought. The wave beside them danced. The waves of the lake or the water were also dancing. Again, the use of personification here. The waves were dancing. How can waves are dancing? But this is the use of personification. Outdid the sparkling waves in glee. The waves were sparkling with great delight. Glee means great delight. A poet could not be gay. And this wave made the poet gay, happy, in such a jocund company. Jocund means cheerful company. He was very happy with the jocund company, the cheerful company of the daffodils. I gazed and gazed but little thought. Gazed and gazed, वो देखता ही रहा daffodils को, उसकी ब्यूटी को, और सोचा कि कितनी कीमती चीज़ है ये, जैसे कि मेरे लिए कोई खजाना ले आया हो, कोई बहुत कीमती चीज़ ले आया हो, इतनी खूबसूरती है इन daffodils की. The fourth stanza here. For oft when on my couch I lie, and vacant or in pensive mood, the flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude, and then my heart with pleasure fills, and dance with the daffodils. Here in the last stanza, William Wordsworth says that for often is used for often here. इसका मतलब है अक्सर. He says that when I lie on my couch in pensive mood when I think deeply. When he gets alone and thinks deeply, the memory of the daffodils comes before his eyes, which is the bliss of solitude. Solitude means being alone. जब वो अकेला होता है तो मेमोरी आ जाती है उसकी आंखों के सामने एक फ्लैश की तरह. Daffodils की खूबसूरती की. Bliss means the perfect happiness. Bliss means the perfect happiness here, which spring by the memory of daffodils. And then he says that my heart fills with the pleasure when I think of the beauty of the daffodils and dance with the daffodils. And my heart dance with the daffodils, with the joy, with happiness. Again, you can see the use of personification in how the heart can dance with the daffodils. So it is again the use of personification here. This is also the use of personification here. The wave beside them dance but they. So in this poem we read about the daffodils, the William Wordsworth who saw the group of daffodils and appreciated the beauty of it. He really enjoyed the company of beautiful daffodils and write about it in this poem here for us to read. And when he gets alone, he think of those daffodils and his heart fills with pleasure. Let's read about the poet here. William Wordsworth was born on 7th April 1770 at Cockermouth in Cumbria. He was a major English poet. In 1799, Wordsworth settled at Dove Cottage in Grasmere in the Lake District. Wordsworth's most famous poem, The Daffodils, was written at Dove Cottage. Wordsworth died on 23rd April 1850. You can find the meaning of the difficult words here in the word bank. Let's move to the exercise on page number 31. Question number 1. What are some examples of personification in the poem? Yes, we have discussed this. I have underlined it for you. In each stanza, you can write it in your notebook. What are some examples of simile? Yes, simile when we compare two different objects, but for their similarities, we compare them both. For example, a girl is beautiful and Rose is also beautiful, but both are different objects, different things. Like one is a living being, another is an object only. But they have similarity, the beauty. So we can compare them like she is beautiful like a rose. In simile, we always use as or like to compare. So you can spot out all the example of simile from this poem here. The third one, what does the word crowd exactly means? Yes, we have discussed this. The fourth one, why does the poet compare himself to a cloud? Yes, why does he compare himself to a cloud? I have told you about it. The fifth one, write the main idea of the poem. Yes, this is about the beauty of the daffodils, and he appreciated the beauty of daffodils in his poems. This is very easy for you to write, the main idea. The sixth one, do you like this poem? Why? You have to give your personal opinion, why you like this poem. Seventh one, reread first and second stanza of the poem. What natural items is described as having human characteristics? You have to write about, again, the examples of personifications. You have to just write about the item who have human characteristics. The non-living things, the object have human characteristics. What human characteristic does this item have? And you have to tell about the human characteristic too. What human characteristic it possesses. The section B here, read out the text and express your opinion, personal preferences. We have multiple choice questions here. This is from your poem. You have to reread and choose the right option here for each sentence. The first one here, the poem is written by the famous poet. Yes, it's very obvious, it is written by the Wordsworth. Second one, William Wordsworth is an what? An English poet, the French poet, the American or the Russian? Yes, obviously, English poet. The third one, William Wordsworth started new kind of poetry written in simple words about what? Yes, I told you at the start of the unit that he write about the natural objects. The fourth one here, William Wordsworth was very fond of what? Flower, birds, lake, river, trees, animal, humans and children, school, poetry and studies, music, singing and dancing. This is very obvious. The first option here, flower, birds, lakes, rivers and trees. He was all interested in natural objects. The fifth one here, in first stanza, what was the poet doing? Traveling aimlessly, writing a poem, looking at the clouds, looking at the stars. Yes, he was wandering, ऐसे ही फिर रहा था वो, so traveling aimlessly. Here the right option. I want you to choose the correct option for these remaining sentences too by yourself.